Hello, everybody, and welcome to this class about the Akashic Records. So, as usual, I do have notes. So, if I'm not always looking at the screen, I'm referring to my notes because I like to get prepped in case I leave anything out. So, you may have heard of the Akashic Records before, but I'm going to start at the start. And what exactly are they? So they are a database. They're a vibrational database, an energetic database, a bit like the cloud, you could say. So, but it's a collection of information and it's energetic or vibrational in nature. Okay. And it's a collection of everything. So it's all of everything that's happened to you as an individual across all lifetimes and everyone else, and all of the things about everything all of the time, which is for us as human beings, it's a pretty mind-boggling and big concept. So it's basically a record of everything since the start of time about our universe and other universes as well. And it's all in this energetic format. So, as I say, it's a huge mind-boggling concept. It's a collective consciousness, really, sometimes called the mind of God, also referred to as the Hall of Records as well, and the Libraries of Light. They are all names for the same thing, as far as I'm concerned, and that is the Akashic Record. It has been around forever, and it's also been in our awareness for a long time as well, but it's never sort of started to really set the collective consciousness on fire, like things like law of attraction. It's very current. It's very you could say trendy, fashionable. We are aware of it. It's been channeled, it's been brought in. It's something that is becoming more mainstream. Akashic Records is still something that's a little bit fringy, I would say, but it's also in documentaries about the ancients as well. And you can look up stuff about the ancient civilizations using the Akashic Records as well. Um, so it's difficult for our human self to perceive what the Akashic Records are. So often we use the human construct as a library. So when I say the word library, you're probably thinking of a building of shelves, of books, of categories. That is an easier way for our human self to consider what the Akashic Records may represent. But as I say, it's all vibrational and energetic. Also, I want to add in that not only is it a record of everything that's happened, it's also a record of all future possibilities as well, which is even more mind-blowing, isn't it? Possibilities for you and everyone else all at the same time, and everything that's already happened as well. So it's absolutely vast. So if we consider the Libraries of Light, the Hall of Records, the Akashic Records, to be something like a library, that gives us context of a place that has a lot of information and different sections and different categories. Um, so we can get a lot of information from this place, as you can imagine. I mean, it puts Google to shame, doesn't it, really, when you think about it? It's absolutely vast. And when you can access these records, you can imagine that the information that you can get can assist you in so many ways in your life. So many ways. Excuse me, that was my alarm going off. So many ways in your life. For example, it can help you in relationships because it can assist you with knowing who's in your soul group. That's something I'm going to come back to. Um, what lessons you have with other souls that you've agreed before you came to Earth, karma that you have playing out, different possibilities in relationships, different different ways to relate to each other. It can be huge for relationships and communication. It can also assist you in work. It can assist you in where you want to live, making decisions, building businesses, family stuff, because all of the information about everything is there. So it can massively help you for everything, really, once you can access these records. So different people have different opinions on the construct of the records and how to access them and how to use the information. So what I'm talking about today is based on my experience and my knowledge and my research that I've done. So only ever take what you need, as with everything else, and only integrate what feels right to you. You might want a little bit of what I say, and you might want to go off and do your own research as well, and that is fine. So to access any part of the Akashic Records, we first of all need to believe that they exist, because if we don't believe that they exist, then that's immediately going to cause some resistance. And then we also have to believe that we can access it. Now, you are no different to me. If I can do it, you can do it, and I can do it. And it's been through practice and been through a process of raising my vibration, because they are a vibrational record. And I'm going to come on to how to do that in a little while. But if I can do it and other people can do it, why can't you do it? It's a little bit like when we talk about channeling, when we talk about reading cards, when we talk about connecting with our guides. We've all got the ability to do it. We need to believe we can do it. We need to open ourselves up, and we need to trust that what we get is right in that moment. And our human self might have resistance to that. And that's something that we need to work on in order to be able to access these records. So the more you raise your vibration, the easier it's going to get to access the records. And also, you will be able to access different levels of the records as well. So think about the library as being on different floors, and different vibrations will help you to access different aspects of the records. And it all gets a bit dimensional at this point. And I'm not going to go there for purposes of this particular class. But if you want to look that up, or in the future, I might do that. I prefer to keep it not simple, but yeah, probably simple, in terms of I will continue to do my own human work, raise my vibration, help myself to release my own stuff, karma, shadow work, resolve stuff, work on me, because that's going to improve my human experience on earth anyway, and assist me to attract in more good stuff that I want. And during that process, that's our work anyway. When we are souls in human bodies, that my vibration will lift anyway, and that will help me to access more and more information in the Akashic Records and assist me to get in there more easily as well. So I think for me, I don't like the idea of kind of, it's a little bit like when I do energy healing or clearing on people. I just open up to whatever is in that person's highest good. Yes, I've got certificates and I've done different things, but actually, I've kind of not evolved past that, but my human self has sort of thought, you know what, that's not as relevant as it was to you initially. Whatever you can bring and whatever you can do for that person's highest good and the highest vibrations that you can hold is what we need. It doesn't matter whether that's Seikhem Reiki, Angelic Reiki, Reiki 1, 2, Master. It doesn't really matter, because it is that person has been attracted to me for some help and support. And I've got an intention that I draw people in that I can help. So it doesn't really matter. I've learned to get my ego out of the way with that. And it gives me a lot of freedom in the way that I work, because it means that I don't need to be limited to one thing. I just open up and it comes through. So I think accessing the records are a bit like that, that whatever you're right to receive for your vibration at that time in your greatest and highest good is what you're going to get. And it might start off really basic or simple. It might be an image or a feeling of a rose. it could be a color, it might be a name, or it might be a full-on HD movie, depending on where you're at, what's in your highest good, and how much progress you've made in terms of accessing them. And it's like everything else spiritual. It doesn't make you better or worse than anyone, depending on where you are. It just is. So don't judge yourself or compare yourself to other people. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, just like reading cards, just like energy healing, just like channeling, all of the things, any skill, riding a bike, driving a car, making a Sunday lunch. Can you tell it's nearly lunchtime? Hold on. Mm-mm-mm. Have a little slip of coffee. Excuse me. So, yes. So it's a little bit like that when you start working with the Akashic Records. And I prefer it not to, because some people will say, oh, your past lives are held on this dimension and future possibilities are on this dimension. And if you want to find out more about that, then that's fine. But to begin with, I don't feel like that's entirely relevant. I also feel that setting your intention before you access the records, if you're ready to access future possibilities and it's on a higher floor or higher dimension or higher vibration, and you're ready and your soul is ready and it's appropriate and beneficial and in your highest good, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that anyway. So I don't like that idea of, the more progress you make, the higher dimensional. Woo! To me, that feels a bit egotistical, but that's just me. That might not fit with you. Okay. So when you want to access the records, how does that actually work? So, because we've got this human construct of a hall of records or a place or a building, when I visited the Akashic Records, and I did it as part of my training when I learned about life between lives. So I studied this with Michael Newton. He's passed away now, but he was an amazing teacher and a brilliant man. He created this process during hypnosis of life between lives. And what he did was he's got brilliant books, Destiny of Souls and Journey of Souls, if you want to buy his books, by the way. And they are case studies of life between lives. And they talk about all of the places, excuse me, that people visit during his sessions typically. So he regressed people into their past lives and he found as a therapy, and he found that people started to go off and off planet and go to this other place. And he made it his life's work to study where they went. And what he found was that there were various places that people would move around this other realm. And that one of the stops was called the Libraries of Light or the Akashic Records. So he researched this. And when I did my Life Between Lives training, I also went to the Akashic Records. And that was my first experience of that, of actually being there myself. Although before that, I did learn to channel when I learned how to read cards, when I learned how to open up. So I was bringing information through from there, but this is my first experience of me looking at my records in there. So it felt to me like a library, and it felt like a huge, big building with lots of columns, with lots of shelves. And what's interesting about it, and most people say this, but again, take what you need, it might not be the same as you, um, that there are librarians that work there, that there are spirits, souls that work there, that they look like us, they look human, and they can assist you and they can take you to different categories in the library. So before you go, set your intention of what it is you want to receive, whether that is whatever is in your highest and greatest good, or as most people want to, you might want to look at your own soul records and receive what is in your highest and greatest good. Now, remember that your soul records are going to be vast. Even just your individual records are going to include every thought, word, deed, and intention across every single lifetime that you've ever lived, ever. and all of your future possibilities. So even just for you, it's going to be massive. So you could set your intention that you get access to your own soul records and receive what is perfect for you in this moment, at that time, at that junction in your life, because you can imagine there would be far too much information otherwise, and it would be overwhelming. So connect with the librarian when you're there, and they will assist you. But how do you actually get in the first place? So the easiest way I find is guided meditation, because it turns down that chattery part of your mind, the conscious part. It helps you to access your subconscious. It puts you in that nice brain state. We can raise our vibration as well, because we can ask to clear any cords. We can connect with our higher self, with the golden light that connects with our crown of all that is, that raises our vibration. And then we can journey into the whole of records. And that is by far, in my experience, the easiest way to do it. So you have to kind of become a vibrational match. So you have to elevate yourself from 3D, excuse me, from this human reality that we are living in order to access those records. So there is a guided meditation in the library, our library, not the library. Of course, it'll be there as well, because everything is there for you to try and you to use. But have an intention before you go. Once you have a feeling, a perception, a visual that you are in the library, you can connect with one of the librarians and ask to be taken to the place that you want to go. So, common things that you might want to know, that you might have intended before you actually go there. Who are you in this incarnation? So, that's going to be things like your life path, other possibilities, who is in your soul group, lessons that you've brought in, karma, karma that's resolved, karma that's unresolved, who is it with, what's the essence of it, can it be resolved, and stuff like that. You might also want to know stuff about other people in your life, and it might be appropriate for you to find that out when you're there. And if it is appropriate and beneficial, and I always use that filter, is it appropriate and beneficial? Is it in my highest and greatest good to know this? Because you really don't want to be intrusive. I think if we go into the records and we start reading other people's records without permission or without integrity and our highest good and their highest good front of mind, it's a bit like going into someone's house and looking through all their drawers. It can be intrusive. And sometimes when you do that and you're not mindful, you might find that your sort of permission to access records is revoked, or you might not have the kind of clearance that you want to go into other kinds of records. So make sure that you have that intention that it's for your highest good and everyone else's highest good. So you might get access to other people's records. And of course, if you ended up doing this as a reader, you would get permission from the person that you're reading for to access their records. And that would be a different story, because you would be in your integrity then. You can get information about past life incarnations, and that's a very, very common usage of the Akashic Records. So that's not just experiences, it can be vows and oaths that you've made. So identifying karma that you're carrying in this lifetime from past lifetimes, traits that you have in this lifetime based on experiences that you've had in a past lifetime. You might find it really hard to trust someone. You might have money stuff. You might be scared of water. Stuff like that does definitely come up. Who is in your soul group and who you incarnated with last time or the time before, and the relationships between you and those people might be different. So a mother and daughter might have been the other way around. So my daughter might have been my mother. Ooh, that's quite a thing. Etc. Or if you're married, you might find that you've had a different relationship in the past. You might have been a different gender in the past as well. You might have chosen a completely different body compared to the one that you have now. You might be a different race, you might have a different culture. So it's all there to be accessed and can help you in the now. So you might get information on old wounds that you're carrying, family karma, the karma that you can resolve, lessons that are in your soul group, etc. And when you think about it, as you clear stuff in the past, in the Akashic Records, you're raising your vibration in the now and clearing out old stuck energy in the now, which helps to line you up with future possibilities that might be more beneficial. So it's a huge topic. And speaking of possibilities, future possibilities can be looked at in your Akashic Records as well. In this lifetime, they all exist in the Akashic Records. You can ask to see them and ask what you need to do to align with different outcomes. Thoughts, which are energetic, as we know, and vibration, by changing your vibration and the way that you're thinking in the now, you can line up to different future possibilities. And this is very law of attraction, isn't it? But it's also the possibilities that are there in your records for you. So it's you sort of collapse different opportunities that aren't the one that you're sending out the frequency of, that you're lining up in this now time place. But you can ask in your records what the possibilities are and what it is you need to do in order to line up with that possibility. Relationships in this lifetime and past lifetimes. So you can ask to look at them. You can look at challenges, shared lessons, reasons that you connected with this person, reasons it worked, reasons it didn't, how it could work better, etc. So it's all there. So if this sounds super exciting, valuable, and relevant to you, you might want to give it a go. So, as I say, raising your vibration through guided meditation is the easiest way that I have found. So, just like in any other meditation, when you're in the records, and you might not even feel like you're in, and this is where trust and faith comes through. It might be that you don't get a visual on a great big library type building. It might be just that you get a feeling or a smell or a sound, depending on the way that your brain processes information. That's how information will come to you in the records. So for me, I'm mainly kinesthetic, but I'm also a little bit visual. So I tend to feel and then I might get a few little visual cues. I very rarely hear anything at all. But if you're auditory, you might hear stuff. And if you're really visual, you might see stuff. Or if it's the first, second, third time you've been there, you might just feel a nice calm energy and you might not get much. And that's okay and normal as well. So depending on how you process information is how you will receive it when you're there. And you will get whatever is right for you. Metaphors are very common when you're in the Akashic realm. So sometimes you'll be shown something and it means something else. And sometimes you'll be shown something that doesn't make sense when you're there. And it's not until you come back and you sit with it and you unpack it and process it a little bit that you can work out what it means to you in your life and in the now time. So be aware of that. The more you practice, the easier it gets. So the human brain likes the construct of a place, as I've already said, to even though it's a vibrational and energetic representation and database, we like a place. So imagining a library can be really helpful, but this could change, morph, or evolve into different images, different places, and different constructs when you are there. And none of that is wrong. Okay. So go with it when you're there and just go with what happens. When you feel like you're connected to the records or a version of the records or to the library, you can ask your librarian or you can call for assistance and a being will come and assist you to take you to the place you want to go. For example, with me, I asked for my own records when I was there because I was curious about my own records. And to me, I was taken to a shelf. I was given a big white book and it had gold scrolly words on it. And it was my soul name embossed on it. And I was able to take a look inside. And the way it worked for me, and remember, it's going to work differently for everyone, was the pictures that I saw were moving like a TV screen and there were snapshots of my life and I was able to touch them. That's my human life. Touch them and go in and feel the scenario, the chapter in that life. And I was also able to feel it from different people's perspectives as well, which was interesting. My visit was totally out of curiosity, so I didn't really have an intention to resolve any karma or find anything specific, but I was aware that I could have asked those questions if I had wanted to. So, on the subject of karma, we can only release what we are ready to release based on the lessons that we've been through and the growth that we've experienced. And also, karma isn't always bad. We have this human idea that, it's, oh, that's karma playing out. But actually, karma can be good. It can be all of your good stuff coming back. And the more you live with intention, with being mindful, with being kind, with compassion and empathy, the more good stuff's going to come back to you. So you don't need to be scared or worried about it. You can ask in the records to see past lives, vows, oaths, knots that you've brought into this incarnation and how to help resolve them. And again, you might be presented with someone else's records to assist you if it's appropriate. And you also may only get a feeling or a symbol when you're in there. And you might ask a question about karma and get a symbol, a padlock or I don't know, whatever it is. But that could be symbolic when you come back and you sit with it. So don't write it off. Also, collective karma can be perceived in the records and collective energy as well. So remember that this energy field is a record of absolutely everything. So starting with yourself for me was the way to go because I was curious about me, obviously. So that was, and that's often the case, thinking about life purpose, lessons, soul group, karma, future possibilities, all of that kind of thing, past lives, etc. So yes, finding out about you, and that can be immensely empowering, finding out more about your stuff. But you can also look at the collective energy of a family karma, family dynamics, soul groups. You can look also at the records of a building. Houses and buildings and land have Akashic records as well because it's everything, remember. So businesses, pets as well, countries, and collective energy like Life and Soul Academy as well, all have a collective vibration and a collective record, an Akashic record in the Hall of Records. And you can look at that record and get a lot of information. Um, Please respect privacy and work with integrity when you're in there, or your access might be revoked. I know I've mentioned that before, but I've written it twice, so it must be important. So, yes, as you can see, it's a huge, expansive, and unlimited information bank that our human self does have trouble to perceive the construct of it, but it can hold immense value for us as individuals and as a collective. The more you visit, the more familiar you will get with the lift in your vibration that you need to go in, and the easier it will get. So practice, trust what you get, set your intention before you go in there and receive what is in your highest and greatest good. So I hope that's helped. That was my perception of the Akashic Records and how I access them. So have fun and get practicing. Okay, bye for now.